Twilight settles over the city, tinting the sky in deep shades of purple and indigo. The lights in the houses begin to flicker on, one by one, like solitary fireflies in the growing darkness. In one of those houses, a woman sits in her favourite armchair, engrossed in a book. The silence is broken only by the soft rustling of pages and the steady ticking of the clock on the wall. Suddenly, a swift movement catches her attention. A moth, with its velvety grey wings, flies in through the open window. It circles the room in an erratic pattern, bumping against the ceiling lamp drawn to the artificial light. The woman watches, fascinated, as the insect continues its frantic dance. Many would see this scene as something ordinary, perhaps even banal. A simple lost moth, nothing more than a nighttime nuisance. But for those who know how to listen to the subtle messages of the universe, for those who still connect with ancient knowledge, the visit of this winged creature carries a much deeper and darker significance. Moths have always been shrouded in mystery and symbolism. In many cultures, they are seen as messengers from the spiritual realm, creatures that inhabit the threshold between the visible and invisible worlds. Their attraction to light, even when that light signifies their own destruction, makes them powerful symbols of transformation and rebirth. However, there is a darker side to this symbolism, an aspect that many prefer to ignore. The moth, with its nocturnal nature and appearance often deemed less graceful than that of the butterfly, also carries associations with death, the underworld, and the shadowy aspects of the human psyche. When a moth enters your home, it is not simply lost or confused. It is a messenger, a herald of profound and often unsettling changes that are about to occur in your life. It is a call to look into the shadows, to confront what you have been avoiding, to dive into the depths of your being and face the fears and desires you have kept hidden, even from yourself. The woman on the couch, unknowingly, is about to embark on a transformative journey. The moth that now gently lands on the opposite wall is the first sign, the initial invitation for a descent into the underworld of her own psyche. As the night progresses, the woman begins to feel a growing restlessness. Long-suppressed memories begin to bubble up in her mind like bubbles rising to the surface of a dark lake. Remembrances of forgotten dreams, childhood fears, unfulfilled desires. The presence of the moth seems to have opened a door within her, a passage to regions of her mind that she had carefully locked away and ignored for years. She stands up, leaving the book aside, and walks to the window. The world outside seems different now, more alive, more mysterious. The shadows appear to dance with a life of their own, and she has the distinct sensation of being watched, not with malice, but with an ancient and profound curiosity. The moth, as if sensing the shift in the atmosphere, takes flight again. It circles the room once, twice, and then gently lands on the woman's shoulder. The touch is so light it is barely felt, yet it carries the weight of 1,000 whispered secrets. In this moment, the woman understands that her life will never be the same. The visit of the moth was not an accident, but a call to awaken, to remember, to reclaim parts of herself that were left behind along the path of life. Ancient stories speak of heroes who receive calls to adventures, invitations for journeys that will transform them forever. But not all calls are grand or obvious. Sometimes they come in the form of a small moth flying into the house on an ordinary night. The journey that unfolds from here will not be easy. It will require courage, persistence, and the willingness to face uncomfortable truths. But it is a necessary journey, a path of healing and integration that all of us, at some point in our lives, are called to walk. The moth, in its silent wisdom, knows this. It is the guardian of mysteries, the guide to the shadowy realms of the psyche. Its presence is a reminder that darkness should not be feared but embraced as an integral part of our wholeness. As the night wears on, the woman feels a subtle change within herself. It is as if a key has been turned, opening long-closed doors inside her mind. Memories, emotions, and intuitions begin to flow freely, mixing into a powerful river of self-discovery. She starts to see patterns in her life that had previously gone unnoticed. Decisions she made, relationships she nurtured or abandoned, fears that kept her from pursuing her deepest dreams. All of this now reveals itself as part of a great tapestry, a complex design that forms the fabric of her existence. The moth still perched on her shoulder seems to pulse gently, as if in tune with the woman's heartbeat. It is an anchor, a point of connection between the visible and invisible worlds, the conscious and the unconscious. As the night progresses, the woman finds herself immersed in a state of deep reflection. She relives moments from her childhood, adolescence, and adulthood, seeing them now with a new and sometimes painful clarity. She realizes how certain emotional wounds, never fully healed, have influenced her choices and behaviors over the years. But along with this awareness comes a sense of power and possibility. She understands that recognizing these shadows is the first step toward integrating them, transforming what was once a source of pain into strength and wisdom. The moth, in its silent dance, seems to echo this understanding. Its erratic flight is no longer seen as confusing or aimless, but as an expression of freedom, a celebration of the journey in all its twists and turns. If you need any adjustments or further assistance, feel free to ask. As dawn approaches, the woman senses a subtle change in the air. The atmosphere seems charged with an ancient and mysterious energy. The moth, which until now had been a constant presence, takes flight once more, circling the room in a pattern that appears to draw invisible symbols in the air. Guided by an impulse she does not fully understand, she stands and follows the moth's flight. She finds herself facing an old mirror hanging on the wall, a familiar object that suddenly seems strange and full of secrets. Looking at her reflection, she notices that something has changed. Her eyes appear deeper, as if they have seen beyond the veils of the everyday world. There is a newly discovered wisdom in her gaze, an understanding that transcends words. The moth lands on the edge of the mirror, its wings open like an invitation. In this moment, the woman understands that she is about to embark on the most challenging part of her journey. She is being called to cross the mirror, to dive into the depths of her own psyche. With a deep sigh, she closes her eyes and allows herself to fall forward. Instead of the expected impact against the cold glass, she feels as if she is plunging into deep, dark waters. When she opens her eyes again, she finds herself in a dreamlike landscape, a world where everyday logic does not apply. The sky above is a kaleidoscope of impossible colors, and the ground beneath her feet seems to pulse with life. Here, in this realm between worlds, she encounters aspects of herself that she had long forgotten or repressed. She sees herself as a child again, filled with dreams and limitless possibilities. She finds herself as a teenager, burning with passion and rebellion. She sees herself as the woman she is now, but also as all the women she could have been. Each encounter is a lesson, each vision a revelation. She learns that her wounds are not weaknesses, but sources of strength and compassion. She discovers that her fears, when faced, can transform into powerful allies. The moth, now glowing with its own light, continues to guide her through this inner labyrinth. Sometimes flying ahead, sometimes gently landing on her shoulder, the insect seems to encourage her to keep going, even when the path becomes difficult or frightening. In a particularly challenging moment, the woman finds herself face to face with a dark version of herself. This is the embodiment of all her fears, doubts, and insecurities. For a moment she feels the urge to pull back, to flee from this confrontation. But the moth, in its silent wisdom, lands between the two. Its wings, now fully spread, reveal complex patterns that seem to tell the story of the woman's own life. In this moment she understands that she cannot flee from herself. The only way forward is through acceptance and integration. With renewed courage, she reaches out to her dark self. The touch is electric, a fusion of energies that have long been separated. There is pain in this encounter, but also a profound sense of relief and completeness. As the two versions of herself merge, the landscape around her begins to change. The colors become more vibrant, the outlines sharper. It's as if the world is gaining a new dimension of reality. The woman feels a powerful energy flowing through her. It is the strength of all the women who came before her, of all the untold stories, of all the silenced dreams. She is both herself and so much more. The moth, her faithful companion on this journey, begins to shine with an almost blinding intensity. Its wings open once more, but now they seem to stretch infinitely, engulfing the entire horizon. In a flash of understanding, the woman realizes that the moth was never truly separate from her. It was an aspect of her own soul, the part of her that always knew the way back home to her true essence. With this realization, the dreamlike world begins to dissolve. The woman feels herself floating, rising through layers of consciousness, returning to the physical world she had left behind. When she opens her eyes, she finds herself once again before the mirror in her living room. But the reflection that faces her now is different. Her eyes shine with a new light, a blend of ancient wisdom and newly discovered strength. The moth, having fulfilled its mission, flies one last time around the room before exiting through the open window, disappearing into the night. But the woman knows that it has never truly left. The lesson of the moth, the call to embrace both light and shadow, will stay with her forever. As the first rays of morning sunlight touch the horizon, the woman feels reborn. She now understands that the visit from the moth was not a dark omen, but an invitation for growth and transformation. The spiritual meaning was indeed deeper than she could have initially imagined. It was not about darkness in the sense of evil or misfortune, but about the fertile darkness of the unconscious, the creative womb from which all rebirth emerges. She moves through the house with a new grace, a new awareness. Each object seems imbued with meaning, each shadow a reminder of the journey she has undertaken. Sitting down to write in her journal, she realizes that the words flow with an ease she has never experienced before. Stories and insights emerge from somewhere deep within her, tales she knows must be shared with the world. She now understands that her mission goes beyond her own healing and transformation. She is called to be a storyteller, a guardian of ancient wisdom, a guide for others who, like her, are visited by moths on dark nights of the soul. As the day unfolds, she feels a growing anticipation. She knows her life has fundamentally changed, that nothing will ever be the same. But instead of fear, she feels a deep gratitude and a renewed sense of purpose. The moth, with its seemingly dark message, has proven to be the harbinger of a new dawn. And as the woman prepares to face the world with her new eyes, she knows she is ready for whatever challenges the future may bring. For now she understands the deeper truth, that darkness is not something to be feared, but a portal to transformation. And that sometimes it is precisely in the deepest shadows that we find our brightest light. If you have any further requests or adjustments, feel free to let me know.